You read the video title. You know what this is. So buckle up, it's gonna be a long one. I am here today to show you the best strategy possible for approaching any kind of shape mod that you see before you. And then some. I'm not going to cover all of them. There's a lot of them. But you need to know a couple things before you get into this. You need to know absolute beginner method, the CFOP way. There's a lot of morons out there that do it different, like corners method or ZZ. No, don't do any of that. You stick with CFOP. Next, you need to know how to read notation. If you don't, well, too bad. That's all on you. I am not showing you how to do that. Now we need to cover a couple of bits of terminology. We're going to do false equivocation. And close enough. And then we got to cover parity. Now, that being said, we're going to start off with the Rubik's Cube and with a couple other alterations on it. Just so you got an idea, so we can tear into our windmill, our fisher, axis, morphix, void, clover, and then go for the mirror, and then finally the ghost. I'm going to try to cover all of these in the same video. And that'll be part one. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it and start from square one. And not this square one, because that's not a shape mod. This is just a dumb puzzle. Fuck that thing. Okay, let's go. So what you see before you is just a standard Rubik's Cube with a whole bunch of Sharpie marks on some of the centerpieces. So, just for now, let's try to solve this in our absolute beginner method. The whole process that you want to go through is build your white cross. So, we would kind of start, I see the red right there, I'm just going to get it, move it. We're going to worry about the Sharpie marks later, okay? This is just so you can get familiarized with the method that we're going to use so we can actually get into our shape mods. So, if we're doing this here, I see the blue can match up there and then turn right up. So now we got 2 out of our 4 done. Now we have our green and white. So we match it up there and just spin it up. Yay. Let's do the same thing with the orange. Now, I'm really only doing this just to familiarize some of the advanced solvers that like to make it a nod measuring contest. Like, yeah, I understand that you can solve it in 12 seconds. Just slow the hell down, alright? So, now we can start putting in some of the corners here. So, I see that we have an orange and we have a blue, and that's going to end up right here. So, what I would do for something like this is just put this side down, put it over, put it back up. And you can do this completely intuitively, and if you can't, then maybe you shouldn't be watching this friggin' video. Okay, so we're just gonna keep going with the process. This one goes up here, so I'm just gonna move everything out of the way, get it where it needs to go. And boom, look at that, we got our first layer. God, I hate this cube. Alright. But what is this here? We got our Sharpie marks. And I drew a little cross up there to represent which way the arrows need to point, okay? So we got 2 of them already in the right orientation. This one's out and this one's out. So what you're going to have to do is this right here. You're going to do an R2, D2. So that way your bar is completely out of the way and you don't mess up the rest of it. You can just orient your centers properly. And it's going to take a little bit of playing with. You'll get used to it. This will help drastically with our shape mods when we start getting into it. So I'm going to orient that center differently, bring everything back over, and then put it up. So now I got my arrow pointing where it has to, okay? And now we're going to do the same thing for this one. R2, D2, and it looks like I need to orient 180 degrees, bring it back over, and then back up. And then we have all of our centers pointing in the proper direction. Now, we need to do the edge pieces. So I see that we have a red and a green here. So since the green is already right here, we're going to move it over so it matches on the face. So then red is on the bottom, and that means that red needs to be facing us when we do this. And then there's two variations of this algorithm. There's the left hand and the right hand. You're going to have to learn both. Okay, so when we do the left hand version of this, since it matches up here, when we swing up, you see how that actually creates the solved bit of piece there. All right, so this is the algorithm. Okay, now do that all along the rest of it. We have our orange and blue. Orange right there, blue facing us. Now here's the right hand version. And then you're gonna do the whole belt and just kind of go for it. Whatever works. If you got a piece that's already up in there, use the algorithm to knock it out and then match it up properly. It's not rocket science. It's cubology. All right. So now we got our first two layers done. Hoorah! Let's flip the cube upside down here. Now with the absolute beginner's method, and for the vast majority of your shape mods, what you're going to want to do is get your edge pieces taken care of first. So this is the algorithm that I like to use for flipping these two up when you have this orientation. Okay, so now we have all the yellow facing up. Okay, now let's say we got the other case, this case. I like to do this one. And then if you have none of them facing up, just play with it. Use those algorithms. You will figure it out if you're not a moron. Okay, after we got that taken care of, what we need to do is match one and only one of these edge pieces. And then we're going to do a 3 cycle. So since this one is already matched, these 3 edge pieces here are going to cycle with this algorithm. And if it doesn't line up the first time, I just got lucky, just do it again. Okay? So after you get all these edge pieces in their solved position, what you are going to want to do now is see if you have one corner or all of the corners that match, or none of them if you're that unlucky. I just so happen to have one. Okay? So this means that we need to do a 3 cycle on the corners, and this is the algorithm for it. You want to make sure that your solved one is to your right and facing you. All right. Now that didn't work, so I'm just going to do it again. Okay. Now we got ourselves a mostly solved cube. Now here is a very interesting one that seems to cycle a whole bunch of pieces and get these corners twisted in their proper orientation there. Okay. R-I-D-I-R-D. And just keep doing it until that corner is in its right spot. And now it is, but you see the rest of it's messed up, right? Okay, don't worry about that. Move it over to the other corner and then keep doing that algorithm as long as it takes, and then it just magically solves it. Like, wow, just look at that. So now we took care of our center orientations and we have a solved cube. Awesome. Now we got a groundwork that we can go off of. Do not be intimidated by all the jagged pieces. I know it looks weird, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. Just a basic shape mod, because in reality, all it is just a 3x3. So we need to start with our basic method. So we need to build our white cross. So here's the white center. I see a blue right here. Let's turn it down so it pairs with the blue center and then pulls up right there. Alright, fellas, we have an orange here. I'm going to turn it down, and I'm going to turn it over so the color matches for the center and bring it back up. We have the green here, but the green's also here, so we just need to flip this around. Now we got our red. Let's bring it down. Bring it over. Restore our center. We have our white cross. That is perfect right now. Now we need to do some corners. Let's start with the blue one. So now we got that matching. Let's knock the red out of there and put that where the red belongs, which is over here. Come on. The one thing I hate about this puzzle is you cannot finger trick it no matter how hard you try. Plus I got this tension so loose, I just feel like I'm going to break it, but whatever. So we put our red in. Oh, wow, I actually messed it up. See, not everybody's perfect, especially me. I'm kind of an idiot. Kind of a moron. Okay, now we're good. So we get the orange here. It needs to go there. We are not using any algorithms yet. This is going to be all intuitive just for the first layer. Look at that. We got our first layer. And it looks mighty fine, doesn't it? However, we do have to orient the centers. So we're going to use that center orientation algorithm again. The R2D2. Beep, boop, beep, boop. R2. D2. And I'm not exactly sure which way I was supposed to spin it. But when you turn it back the second time, you'll be able to tell. So I do have this orientation out 180 degrees. So we can just bring it back and we can flip it around. Okay, see how that matches up quite nicely there? And when you bring it back up. So that's what I mean. You just have to be kind of intuitive. So let me think about this for a second. Okay, the center has got to come this way. So I would do my R2. If I can line everything up. My God. D2. Bring it back the way that I said. Back over. And then up. Matches. And we just repeat the process. This one's 180 degrees out. So is this one. Okay, we have our center orientation now. So right now we got to throw in the edge pieces. Now, this is what I mean by swinging it up. And you can also continue the algorithm once you swing it up in the right orientation. Okay, so see how I did this right here. It lines up perfectly with this. You don't have to worry about this orientation with that other piece. But if I was to bring it up the other way, now you see how that doesn't line up too awful good with this one, does it? Now you're pretty much just trying to match the piece that you want to swing it to. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. So once you bring that up, that counts as the first move of the algorithm, and then you just continue it. Look at that. Perfect. So let's continue it. We have a red. Let's do the red. It'll knock the green out of there. Now it's kind of odd too when you're trying to do right-handed moves on this one. It's very, very strange indeed. It doesn't exactly look right sometimes, but as soon as you do the algorithm, it puts it in place. I mean, worst case scenario, you slam a piece in wrong, and then you got to do the other hand move to get it to look right. That's not a big deal if you ask me. I'm just going to try to give a good walkthrough on this and explain to the best of my ability. But remember, I am a Ford mechanic. I'm not exactly the brightest. See, that doesn't match up right there. a little bit off. So we gotta bring it over to the blue. Now we got a perfect 90. Continue the algorithm. Now we have our first 2 layers done. Now remember what I said before when we were working on it. We have to worry about our edge pieces in our last layer before we worry about the corners. But we need to get that yellow facing up first. So you remember this algorithm? F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I. And it would also work if it was the same other orientation. You would just double one of the moves. So now we're looking for one piece that matches, which is this one, the blue. Then we have to do a 3 cycle. Remember this one? Look at that. Our edges are taken care of. Now we have to worry about the corners. We have one that matches here. We have the red. So we do a 3 cycle of these corners. You remember this one too, don't you? All it is just a 3x3. Now this one's a fun one, the RIDIRD, and I will warn you, when you start getting into weird shapes like this is when this algorithm gets a little bit more tricky. But what I like about this puzzle is that there is no false equivocation or parity. It's a nice shape mod to kind of really introduce you to center orientation. RIDIRD. Let me just keep doing it. You know, I'm gonna piss off some of the better cubers here and do nothing but risk moves. How about that? I don't care. Fight me. Now, once we finish that, we just line it up. And then congratulations. You did a windmill cube. You guys ready for the next one? Okay, what I find interesting about this next puzzle here, this is where the geometry starts to get a bit interesting, because how this cube is laid out, this is the first one that we have come across so far that you can have a case of false equivocation. However, we'll get to that when we get to that. And I mean, if we don't, I guess I have no choice but to force it into a case of that. But we are going to approach this in the exact same way. We have our white centerpiece here. I have white, green, and red. So where's my green and red center? Ah, right below it. That took me way longer than it should have. Let's just move it over, down, and back up. Let's take care of this one right here. Blue and red. Move it down. Let's move it over. And swing it back up. And I cannot reiterate to you, do not worry about your orientation until your first layer is done. That's not going to change until we make a change. So, orange and blue. They're the colors for you, let me tell you. We have 3 out of 4 done. Here's the next one. Just get it out of the way, restore. At this point, I'm only doing demonstration because we've solved pretty much the same puzzle. This is going on the 3rd time now. Let's do some corners here. Now, this is very interesting how these corners like to line up too. But what's even more interesting is how the edge pieces like to line up. I knocked the green out of here, so we're just going to put it where the green belongs. And keep cycling it around until it matches up. Green matches. We got the bar. Let's throw the red in. Now, another thing too is it's really important how you are able to understand exactly how these cubes move. Because if you try to go to a higher type of cube, let's say a ghost cube, for instance, you're going to be very befuddled when you start turning it and realize it doesn't exactly turn not only how you expected, but it starts turning like you didn't expect. And it's like, what the hell, man? All right, we got our first layer. Awesome. So we got to start slamming in our edge pieces. We see the green. Now, from the video that I took before, oh, hold on. I almost forgot. We got to orient these center pieces first. This one's 180 degrees out. R2, D2, 180. Turn it back. Bring it back up. Almost had a dumbass moment there. This one's also 180 degrees out. It doesn't take much to actually figure it out. You pretty much just have to know how it moves in order to do it. Okay, so we got that. Now let's start doing the edge pieces. Now what's interesting about this puzzle is just because of the geometry. See, I'm going to line it up with this centerpiece right here, the orange and green one. But if I turn it up, you see how it matches there? Let me move it over to the red and green. When I turn it up, it matches. So that just means with this puzzle, you can have one of your edge pieces on your belt be 180 degrees out of proportion, and that's what causes your false equivocation. So it really doesn't matter how you throw them in, but I will show you how to identify when you have a case of false equivocation here in a second once I get them in. You already know the algorithms. I'm not going to go off and explain them all again or even take the liberty to put the notation in the damn video. Sorry, that's all on you. You gotta be keeping a notebook. I don't care. I'm just gonna do a right hand here because why not? Almost there. We got one more. I'm gonna do another right hand just because. If I do not have a case of false equivocation, I will put it into a manner of false equivocation so you understand what I'm talking about. Alright, this is not a case of false equivocation. I'm going to knock one of them out. And I will put it in the opposite way. But I pretty much just reversed the process for how you would fix it. Okay, this is how you are able to identify a case of false equivocation. So, really what is happening here is you have one edge piece on your last layer that's flipped 180 degrees. This is an impossible case that cannot happen on a normal Rubik's Cube. And it could happen in a variety of different ways. You could have 3 of them that are flipped like this, or you could just have one that's out like this. That's pretty much it. But when you do have a case like this, since you need at least 2 of them that are out, or all of them being out, or all of them solved, then you are just going to knock out one of your edge pieces that you already put in with, I don't care if it's a right hand or a left hand move, but I took it out with a right hand in this case. So I'm going to line it up to be put back in with a left hand move. So pretty much to fix it, you want to take it out with a right hand move and put it back in with a left hand move, or vice versa, and that will correct your issue that you've had. So let's go to the next process. Now that the false equivocation was taken care of early, in some of the other shape mods, like take this one for example, you're not exactly going to be able to identify that right away, and there's a different method to take care of that false equivocation. But let's focus on this puzzle for right now. Let's see if we can get just one single edge piece to match up and none of the others. So it looks like we got right here. So we hold it towards us, and we have to do a 3 cycle to get them to match up. You remember this one. And look at that, they all match up. So now we're back into the boat where we need to do a 3 cycle of pieces on the corners. So this one is in its solved position. Well, I mean, not solved, but it needs to be reoriented, of course. But this one is in the correct position. This one's out, and this one's out. So you remember this one. And it didn't work, so do it again. And you will be able to identify when to do the left hand and the right hand version of that. So now we got 3 corners that need to twist in their right orientation. So we need to do, guess what? R-I-D-I-R-D. R-I-D-I-R-D. Keep repeating. This is very, very troublesome, very long process. Ugh. Okay, now move it to the next stage. You only want to do this algorithm until you get the yellow, actually the whole orientation of the entire piece to match up, and just, you see what I'm doing. Just take some damn notes, why don't you? You didn't do very good in school, did you? And now line everything back up. Look at that. Congratulations. You solved the windmill cube. Actually, this isn't the windmill, this is the fisher. Sorry, if that's the only mistake I make tonight, I should count myself lucky. You guys ready for the next one? Now this is where everything starts to get a bit more troublesome. See, the puzzles that we did so far, you only had to worry about 4 center orientations. This one, you have to worry about all 6 of them. So at this point, it really doesn't matter what center you start from. I suppose that I will start, let's go right here. Let's go red and white. I like those colors. I see a red edge piece right here, so I think I'm just gonna move it down like this and back up. And keep in mind, it has been a while since I've done this puzzle too. So just kind of roll with it for me. So let's try to put in the white. Okay, see, I have that flipped around 180 degrees, so I need to get it so it's back on the bottom, and then I can move it over and then swing it back up. Now, we are still going to approach this in the exact same strategy as we did before, to where we want a cross. It's going to be a lot harder to visualize now that we've tilted the axis this much, okay? So I believe on this puzzle now, on these sides over here for our edge pieces, we want to get pieces like this, but also have the other color that matches with our center, and they are still not in the correct orientation, but we will figure that out once we start putting in the corners. So I do believe that this would be red and blue, so we need to find a red and blue edge piece, which is right here. So let's not lose track and see if we can get it put in. Alright, now I need to flip this around. So intuitively, I'd move it over here, then up, then over, and then I would restore. However, we didn't get this one in, so that was completely unnecessary. This one, I believe we are looking for a blue and white, which is right here, so that actually needs to flip around. I'm just going to do kind of the same thing again. This one is definitely going to take a little bit longer than normal. Okay, now you see how all of that kind of matches up right there. Let's put in our blue corner there, which is right here. So we're just going through the process. We're doing the exact same thing that we normally would, and on any other 3x3 shape mod. Okay, that corner didn't quite match up on the first way around. Let's give it another go. Probably going to be, yep, there it is. That all matches. Now, where did our white go? Our white is right here. So let's just put that into. Perfect. Now we can put our red in, which is right over here. Yeah, man. You know you want to turn. See, this puzzle does suck. I need to get a better one. See, I'm pretty sure this is where it helps that you remember your color orientation. Like, if I was looking at it like a normal cube, and white would be on bottom and blue facing me, I know red is to my right, orange is to my left, green would be opposite of me, and yellow on top here. So I guess it does pay off to know the color scheme of the puzzle that you're working with. And if you don't get it right away, that's fine. You just play with it and approach it in the same way. Okay, now we need to figure out exactly our center orientation along the belt that we have to be rocking. So I see that this one is pretty much the closest. I'm just going to kind of move this over here, see how it looks. No, that doesn't work out right. So we do have a white over here. Very perplexing. Let's just try orienting this 180 degrees out. So we're going to do our R2-D2 move. Yeah, see, that just don't look right. I think I gotta have it over here instead. And that actually would make sense now that I'm looking at it. So this one needs to turn this way, and this one needs to do the same thing. I bet you we'll have it lined up after this. So R2-D2. Now we can turn it over to see how it looks. Okay, that looks a lot better right there. Okay, let's do the same thing with this one. My apologies if I'm not explaining this as well as I could. So that center looks good, so does that. This one needs to flip the same way, so let's do another R2-D2. Yep, that one is definitely good, and this one needs to go this way. So, 3R2-D2. Oh, I flipped that the wrong way. Now all of our centers appear to be in the correct orientation. Now we gotta start slamming in edge pieces. And now this is the part where everything becomes 100% visual about how you want everything to go in. So, judging by the looks of it, we need these double pieces right here, and it looks like this one might flip up like this. That all matches, and that would match if it was in the correct orientation, but all the other pieces there do match. So since it moves up like that, that would mean this is a right-handed move. So let's do our right hand. Edge insert alg. This damn thing will friggin' move. Okay. Yep, that's in. Now it looks like we need a blue piece to go there, but it looks like it's jammed there. So let's see if we can find a red and yellow. I believe it's red. Red and yellow is there. Okay, they're both. All right. Let's just do the green for now, because that'll knock the. Actually, no, that we need that later. Never mind me. Just pay attention to the visual here. This is going to swing up. This is going to be another right-hand move. You see how that's all in place now? Okay, let's do it again. Another right hand edge insert. Perfect. Now we need to basically just swap these two, so it doesn't really matter how you take them out. I think I just messed it up. Maybe not. Nope, we're good. Alright, so the blue piece, now I can envision it, it's going to swing up and fit right there. So this is going to be the left-hand version of our edge insert. That's in. Now we need one more. And it's going to be one of these long pieces. So judging by the looks of it, it's going to swing up like that. So we can hold this in the right orientation and do our left-hand version of that move yet again. I will say too, it is a hell of a lot easier to remember all the moves that you're doing if you can do them faster, if you have it down to muscle memory. That's the one pain part. Okay, now if you can visualize it, we got our first two layers done. So now we need to flip it over. So this is where center orientation becomes a real pain in the ass on the last layer here, is because not only do you have to make sure these are flipped the proper way, you also have to line them up. So I'm going to do a 3 cycle of pieces and hopefully get this one over here, just to see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm thinking that this one needs to be flipped around 180 degrees. Now, I'm not sure about the rest of them, so I'm just going to keep continuing it until I can properly visualize what's about to happen. Okay, so these are in their correct orientations. These two need to flip, so let's do the algorithm as before to flip these two. Now, unfortunately, that's going to mess up our placement as before, but at least they're going to be easily corrected. So now we need to do another 3 cycle. I really hope you're with me so far. Come on. All right. So all of our centers are correct. So let's just line them up. Okay, you see how that all goes? Now you can actually see the corner pieces. This one is in its correct spot. This is not, this is not, this is not. So that just means another 3 cycle. You really got to be paying attention to what you're doing when you start doing moves on these kinds of shape mods. Because if you don't, you could destroy all the progress you made, and then you're back to step 1. Nobody likes that. Hey, you guys know what to do now, right? Take a guess. I'll give you 3 seconds. RIDIRD. Very friggin' long process. Line everything back up. Congratulations, you just solved the axis cube. Now what I like and don't like about this puzzle at the same time, there is no false equivocation or any other special thing that you really have to do. It pretty much just focuses all on center orientation. And that seems to be the biggest problem with this, just because of the geometry. I mean, it's definitely cool to look at. So, you guys ready for the next one? Now, this puzzle is a little strange to actually look at and be able to keep track of everything. Because in its solved state, it is a tetrahedron. However, it functions exactly like a standard 3x3. The only difference being, because of the geometry, you can have edge pieces that swap out for each other, as well as some corner pieces can be twisted out. So, I say we just tear right into it and do a walkthrough. Let's start with this one. So I see we got a red piece over here. Let's see if I can get this to match up. Look at that. Let's do the other red piece. And like I said before, these pieces right here could be swapped out for each other. It really doesn't make a difference, not until the very end. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier to solve it. Just at first. Where am I? Okay. Come on. Okay, so we have a cross now. Let's get the corners inserted. Now before we start doing these ones, we have to take a look and just use a little bit of our guesswork, figure out exactly where these are going to line up. So neither one of these have red, and these both have red. So we would have to turn it like so. So I'm going to assume, because we have a blue over here, this one we would have a yellow, red, and blue, which is over here. So let's just pop that piece out. Slide it on over. And we're going to do the same thing for this one. Oh. Now we have our first layer taken care of. We can orient the centers now. This needs to spin that way. Do the R2-D2. And we can move it back over to see if everything lines up, and it does. So we can bring that back up. And we have to rotate this one. It looks 180 degrees. R2-D2. 180. Give her a spin. That lines up. This one's good. Okay. So we finished our center orientation. Now let's start putting in some of the edge pieces. So let's start with the green here. And it looks like we can swing it up this way and continue our right-hand version of that algorithm. Let's do the blue. And it looks like it's going to swing up this way to a left hand. That red needs to swap out. Or flip around, sorry. Just going to knock it out, reinsert it the other way. Now let's do the yellow. Okay. First two layers are done. Now we gotta do the last layer here. So we can just start playing with it and see what lines up. Let's do a 3 cycle on the pieces there. Okay, it looks like that one does line up right there, but these two look like they're out. So let's just do, like I said, some of the pieces can swap out for each other. So let's just do a 3 cycle from our one solved one. So these two need to flip over. So we do this algorithm. Come on. And then we do a 3 cycle on our pieces again. Didn't work, do it again. Awesome, we got our cross done there. So now let's start putting in some of the corners. Let's do a 3 cycle on these because this one is in its solved position. Okay, now I'm glad I got this case. So this is very strange right here, just because it's a tetrahedron shape, kind of like a pyraminx. You'd almost think you could like kind of just twist it into place. I mean, you could if you wanted to cheat, but what's the sense in doing that? We're honest folk. Let's do it in an honest way. What's actually happening here is you have one of your corners that's twisted out. So you can actually orient this correctly and put this. Let me just show you. We're going to do the RIDIRD. Okay, that's correct, but our whole last layer is correct, right? Well, yes, but no. We're going to put over the corner piece, and then we're just going to continue the algorithm until the rest of our pieces fall into place. As they should. Line everything back up. Congratulations. You just solved Master Morphics. So, are you ready for the next one? Now, this one here is definitely one of the more difficult ones that we're going to do. And you might think to yourself,
Dork, why exactly are you including a void cube in shape mods? That's not a shape mod. It's just a void cube.
well, listen, bitch. It is a shape mod. It's still a 3x3. It just has no centers. Okay? So, eat me. Now, how exactly we're going to attempt doing this? We're gonna have to use a little bit of a different strategy. We still need to build what would be our cross, and I think we're gonna start with the yellow. So we need to look at the corners to see how everything is gonna line up first. So if I was going to start placing, I would say that, judging by this corner, I would have a blue and a purple centerpiece. So let's try that out. See how that works. Sure. Blue, and let's find the purple one. Where is it? Okay, right here. So now we got a blue and purple here. Now, judging by this one, this corner here, I think our orange is going to be right here. So let's just try it. And like I said, it really helps to know the color scheme of your puzzles. And then, of course, we got green. This one, I don't think I've solved this one for a little over a year now, actually. I just put it on my shelf, but this is one of those puzzles that absolutely just befuddled me. Alright, we can start putting in some of our corners. So let's find our green and orange. this puzzle is also one that you can get a parity case on, so hopefully I get it so I can show you exactly what to do. However, we are going to do the last layer with a completely different strategy, and I will show you the algorithms for it. Okay, we got that one. Now we're on to our last corner. We have our first layer done. So since I don't see any red on our first layer, I'm going to assume that the red is going to be all face up when we get to our last layer. So since we gotta put in our middle edge pieces first, we need to look for pieces that don't have red. So we have green and purple. We're gonna line it up with our first layer green there. And then we're going to do our insertion, right hand variation. Perfect. Now I see an orange and blue one which goes right here. And we have one more that's hiding somewhere right here. We got our purple and blue. So we have our first two layers done. Okay, this is where we're going to change up the strategy a bit. We're still going to get our red facing up on our edge pieces first. So we're going to use this one. Okay, they're all facing up. Now, this is where it's going to change. We're not going to get all of these edge pieces in the right place. We are going to get our corners all facing, so the red is all facing up. All right? Now, there's a couple of different patterns you can get here. I just so happen to have an easy one where 3 of them are out, and they all need to twist clockwise. So I would use this move. Okay, so that just means all our red is facing up. Now, let's just say, for instance, that, let me mess it up again. Here would be the left-hand version of that algorithm. Okay, so you see how that works. And it doesn't matter how those corners are facing. If you play with it and use either one of those algorithms, you will figure it out. Those are the only two that you're going to need to take care of the corners here. So the next step that we are going to do is we are going to look for a set of headlights, and I mean 2 matching color on the corner pieces, and it doesn't look like we have any. So in order to get our headlights, we're going to do this algorithm right here. We're going to turn it so the red would be facing us, and then go. And then we're going to turn it back, and it appears we have our green, so we can turn it and match it up. Okay, so we are going to use that exact same algorithm that we did, but let's make sure that our headlights are facing away from us for the first move. And then we're going to do the same algorithm again. So you turn it, and then repeat. And then you're going to reorient the whole cube again, and turn it back. So now we have headlights all over. Now we can take care of our edge placement on this one. So you kind of have to think about how the puzzle itself is going to move. So there's another left-hand and right-hand version of this move. So I see that the blue needs to come over here. So we would do the setup move. Hold on, let me think about this. I'm going really slow. Okay. Okay, this is our setup move. We have to... And then we still have two that are out. Now this is the parity pattern that I was talking about, and I'm glad that I got it, so I didn't have to force it into that. So, actually, just kind of like a little bit of a side note, I really personally don't think that this is a parody. It's only referred to as a parody just because it's a very odd and impossible case on a standard Rubik's Cube. But listen, there's no centers on this. You pretty much just have messed up stuff. Like, hold on, let me grab my other puzzle quick here. So this is what we have going on. You see how we have a belt of centers that are out, and we also have our last two that are swapped, but you don't see the centers, but this is what's happening. So in order to fix that, we are going to have to use this algorithm right here. You want to make sure that one of the pieces is facing away from you and the other one in your right hand, and you do this algorithm. And congratulations, you just solved a void cube. Are you guys ready for the next one? I present to you the Clover Cube, and this one is my favorite puzzle that we're going to do. Now, it looks like something that shouldn't be in this video because I've been focusing on 3x3 shape mods, and it looks like these would turn kind of like that, but they won't. See, what I found the most interesting when I first got this puzzle just has deep cuts into it. So, and seriously, it took me probably about 20 minutes of playing with it to actually figure out, oh my god, it's just a 3x3. And it had the same color setup on it, the same color scheme as a regular Rubik's Cube, so I thought it was going to be nice and easy. We'll get to this. So, I already knew to build my cross there. So, blue facing me, green on the other side, red to the right, orange to the left if the white is on bottom. So now we just got to do the last one. Okay, we got our cross. And then I would start putting in the corners. Now, it was uncomfortable at first to start turning this, but I don't think so anymore. I've had enough time to play with this and figure everything out, I guess. We're just going to go through the exact same process that we normally do. However, the strategy at the end is going to be like the void cube. So we got our first layer done. Now let's look for any piece that doesn't have yellow. Let's line this up with blue, have our orange facing us because that's on the bottom, and then do our left hand insertion. Okay, have the red facing us, do the right hand. This piece needs to flip around, so I can use pretty much anything, knock it out. So we line it back up with the green, have the red facing us, and then we're going to reinsert it the opposite way we took it out. So for the bottom, I do the same thing. I do the same thing as the void cube, because you can have the same parity as the void cube, and it took me forever to figure that out, because I saw the two pieces that were swapped, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a parity case. What the hell is going on here? And then I sat it on my shelf for probably about, I don't know, 3 days, and then it hit me all of a sudden out of nowhere. I'm like, holy shit. This isn't a regular 3x3. This is a fucking void cube. Alright, let's do it. You saw that I had only 2 of the corners done here. And, oh god, I know I want to do that algorithm, but I'm sticking to ones that I've already showed before. God, I can't remember exactly. Like I said, just keep playing with it. Still the same thing. Ugh. What is going on? Okay, I think we're here somewhere. So I literally just used the same algorithm to get all the corners up. Now I just so happen to get lucky, so we don't have to do that one weird algorithm with our x prime, I believe it was. Yeah. So let's go ahead and match up our. Oh, Jesus, I know this one too. This is an H perm, but I'm gonna solve it the way I showed you before. So let's just go ahead and do that. Get at least one of them taken care of, and then we still have 3 that are out, so we just cycle through again. Alright. You know what? I'm gonna mix this up again. I like that. Okay, I'm just gonna mix it up again. We're gonna have fun with it. And I'm gonna solve it how I normally would. A little random turnage going on. And I'll try to put as many algorithms that I'm consciously using up on the screen. Okay. Yep. Sledgehammer. Oh, that's not right. Or was it? Oh, no. Another sledgehammer. Sometimes it is a little more difficult to track the pieces. Okay, now here's a different one. Done. So this is a lot more bare bone than it looks. Don't be intimidated by how it turns. So let's get into our next one. Just so I can live with myself, we're going to do the parity problem. Okay, I can live with myself. Let's go. This is where we can start getting a little intimidated. But don't fret, I'll show you the way. This mirror cube all the axes are shifted so that way all the pieces are just like different sized cubes going throughout the whole business. So on a shape mod like this, you primarily want to start with the most distinguishable centerpiece. That way you can eliminate as many possibilities as early on so you can solve it faster. I like to start with the skinny one, and I believe we would be starting here because here is one of the skinny pieces, and I'm assuming when I turn it up it's just going to be level. So yes, in fact, that is the skinny end that we are going to start with. So just for shits and giggles, I'm going to see if this that I threw up in there matches with anything. And of course it does. So we have one of them taken care of. You see how both centerpieces are level. Center orientation does not matter in this puzzle. I mean, unless if you look close, you can see how the stickers are lined different. These are horizontal and these are vertical. It kind of pisses me off, but I'm not going to let it piss me off enough just to do something about it. Okay, let's look for more skinny pieces. That one is a little more fat than skinny. We have this one. So let's put it down in the bottom. Don't break that one. Put it down in the bottom. Move it over. Restore. Okay. It matches up over here, so I'm just going to turn it up. So now we have 2 out of the 4. Let's continue on. Looking for more skinny pieces. We have... Man, am I like blinded? Oh, here's one. That already matches there. Let's turn it up. Okay, 3 out of the 4. They're done. I apologize if the camera's going a little haywire. This will definitely do it to it. Okay. That's not the skinny... Here's the skinny piece I'm looking for. Let's turn that up. So now we have all 4 of them. Let's start doing some corners. And it looks like this one is probably going to go over here, judging by the length. So let's just try it out and see what happens. If I get it oriented correctly. Yep, that is the correct one. Both of these centers match along with this one, so... another skinny one. Let's just try to reorient it a little bit different. I think that was actually in the right spot. It looked about the right size anyway. Now, if you've noticed, I pretty much stopped giving tutorials at this point, and I'm just doing walkthroughs. This one looks like it goes here. Because you know how to approach this. If you've watched the video and paid attention, you'll know that there's pretty much nothing more I can really teach at this point. Maybe you guys can recommend me some puzzles that I haven't delved into that require a different strategy. That would be cool. I always enjoy that. Okay, we're on our belt now. We got our first layer done. So what we're gonna have to do is look for pieces that don't immediately match up with them, and we're gonna try any random piece that will match up with the center. And it looks like this one matches up here. Now you can turn it either way. Let's try it this way first. See how that doesn't match up there? It's not level. Okay, let's turn it the other way. That does. That just means you can continue the algorithm, and it's going to be a right-hand insert, so... We got it to match up. Let's continue the process. Let's try this one. It does not match up with anything. So, let's try this one. Nothing. Okay. Hey, this one matches up with something. And judging by the size of it, it looks like it swings up into here. Yep, both of them match. Another right hand. Let's do it. Looks like we got 2 more. that we need to do. Actually, by the size of them, I think they're in each other's spots. That matches up. Yeah. Yeah, these two are definitely in each other's spots. Let's knock one of them out. You really got to pay attention to what you're doing so you don't mess up algorithms on this. It's very difficult to keep track of everything. Okay, now, hey, look at that. Let's continue. And we got this one that we need to throw up, so it's going to go over here. And again, there is no such thing as false equivocation on this puzzle. No false equivocation, no parity. It's just a weird 3x3. A very, very strange little boy. Okay, none of these actually match up, so we can just assume that we can do our flipping algorithm. See how those match now? Now I'm going to get these ones to match. Look at that. Now let's see if just one of them, we have two that match. Let's make it just one that matches. Okay, this one matches. Let's do a 3 cycle. Okay, all of our edge pieces match. Let's see if we can get the corners oriented. And you're just going to have to judge by size on this one. Alright. It looks like this one twists up into its place. So I'm going to assume that this is in the correct position. So let's do a 3 cycle. Ooh, maybe not. I know for a fact this one is done, but it looks like this one goes here. Actually, it looks like these two might switch. Let's try it. Let's try a 3 cycle with this one being in their solid spot. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So can you guess what algorithm to do now? Yeah, you got that right. RIDIRD. Okay, now this is where it feels a little bit strange to do when you misalign everything to continue. Okay, line everything back up. That is the mirror cube. And I would say, considering that center orientation does not matter at all and that you're just solving out a shape, I suppose if you did practice it enough, you would be able to do this in a very advanced manner. You would be able to implement some F2L into there as well as do the fancy OLL and PLL algorithms. So I'll leave that up to you and maybe tell me how fast you can do it. Why not? Comment down below. How fast can you solve one of these? Alright, you guys ready for the next one? The last puzzle that we're going to do in this video. We are finally at the last puzzle. We are at the cream of the crop, the ghost cube. And cubers deem this the hardest shape mod that exists. So, let's go back to the first point of our strategy. We need to pick out the most identifiable piece and build across. So that one's not very identifiable, neither is that one. This one does look promising, but it's got two pretty much the same. Okay, here it is. Since you have to misalign all the layers in order to mix it, that's when it gets a little bit tricky to try to figure out how this moves, but it is just a 3x3 once you get it scrambled. Okay, now just from solving this a couple times, I know that these pieces in here have little tiny stickers that go along this bar, so let's see if we can find them. They kind of look like this. I wonder. Yeah, that looks right. Oh, okay, so it looks like those two pieces are in their right place. So we could try to do the front if we wanted to. Um, let's go ahead and try flipping this around to see if it fits. Actually, no, let's not do this piece. Let's try this piece first. Let's try flipping that piece around first. That did not work. Ooh, okay. Um, One of these bar pieces goes in the back here. I know I'm getting ahead of myself and like trying to track wrong. Let's try this one first. The bigger one. Let's flip it around the other way. That looks like that fits. Okay, now we go back to our last one. So we know that this one was the one that did not fit. And if it's oriented the other way, it has a very strange angle to it. Let's try this one. Okay, that looks like it fits. And I bet you this is the corner piece that goes over here. Since we already have the cross taken care of, we can do the corners now. That looks like it's in its correct position. Let's do the other one. Now, just because of the geometry, it looks like the line is going to go up. So we're going to look for a similar one to this, just slightly taller. And I bet you this is it. Okay, that is it. Let's insert that the proper way. It does help when you've done the puzzle a couple times. Alright, now corners. Oh, hold on. No. I believe that's the piece that goes here. That last one didn't exactly line up right that I look at it now. Oh, that's much better. Okay. Little tiny sliver corner piece that looks something like that. That is not the one. Let's see about this one. That's definitely not it. Let's try this one over here. Maybe. Ah, look at that. Now we need to... Let's try this small sliver one. I can't remember exactly which corner piece it is, but you can have a case of slight false equivocation because two of the corners are almost identical. And I also know that you also can have another case where one of these edge pieces that doesn't have one of those tiny stickers on it can be swapped out for another one, and it gives you pretty much a similar case. But either way, since we started the most identifiable, and I've done this a couple times, we know that these go here, and I'm not exactly sure about these sliver pieces. So we'll figure that out. Since our first layer's done, we have to move on to our center orientation. So this is going to be a little bit weird to figure out since the cube has to be misaligned in order to figure it out in its entirety. So this could potentially fit right here, and I think we're just going to work off of it. It also does appear to be in the right orientation because this piece kind of matches up to. I mean, I'm getting kind of lucky here, but let's just go for it and see what happens. Let's try rotating this piece and go from there. The R2D2, let's do a 90-degree turn right there, and then move it back up, and then realign our bit that we are pretty sure is in its solved state. Okay, let's just try doing it one more time, the exact same thing that we just attempted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that works. No, maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, it could. So there is another corner on this to where it might be able to line up a little bit better. And this piece is also similar too. You know what, let's just try flipping this the opposite way. So I'm pretty sure on this puzzle, they have to be flipped opposite of each other in order for it to be solved. Honestly, that looks good there. That looks good here. This is not okay. Maybe we need to just rotate it another time along with this one. Actually, it's not okay because all the layers have to be misaligned. So what if we did this? Does that still work? That still works there. Doesn't really work here, so I'm thinking we still need to do the same thing and rotate it. Do you see why I told you at the beginning of the video that you really had to pay attention to your, what am I thinking? Not the color scheme. You really have to pay attention and make sure you get your first layer done before orienting the centers. Let's try one more time. I'm not sure how I rotated it the first time. This is where my memory gets a little bit fuzzy about how everything goes back together. It's still not right. Okay, I got an idea. Let's rotate this 180 degrees as well as this. Because maybe these two are actually out and that's what's throwing me off. Okay, we rotated that one. Now let's do the other one. That is still lined up, so let's make sure all the layers are going to be misaligned. Okay, those pieces do work. Let's try rotating this back. Let's do it again. There's not too much I can teach you at this point. Ah, there we go. Okay, that matches. This matches. We got to get this oriented right, and this matches. So we are, in fact, on the right track. So let's just kind of envision how this centerpiece has to twist. Let's try going clockwise with it. That's not quite it. Well, also would help if I was in fact on the correct pieces. Okay, I am. Let's try clockwise again. Sometimes with this algorithm, I guess you just have to do one at a time and see how everything pans out. And I do believe that's it. That's solved. That's solved. That's solved. That's solved. Perfect. Now we can start working on our belt. So, same as before, we just kind of have to envision the pieces and swing them up to whichever way that would make sense, so we have at least one of them that's matching. That does not go there. Maybe it'll go here. That looks pretty correct, actually. So that would be the right-hand version of our edge insert alg. Aha! That all looks like it matches. Now we can move on to another one, and I'm pretty sure that might be in the right place. It could go over here too, but regardless, it's out. Let's try putting this one in up here. Nope. And you never know, this one could be in the wrong place too. I'm gonna knock this one out with the right hand. There we go. Let's go ahead. I knocked it out with the right hand, so let's see what it would look like with the left hand. That is not right. Come on. And I believe that is where it needs to go, so let's just continue. You really have to pay attention to what you're doing on here to make sure you don't mess up an algorithm. We gotta get this one in place now. So there should just be one more piece lurking about that slides right up into there. Let's try this one right here. And you know, if it's your first time solving a ghost cube, then you're just gonna have to do the deed and figure it out for yourself. You know the process to do it. That did fit, by the way. The first time I did this puzzle, it took me 3 days to do it for the very first time. Okay, there needs to be another piece going up in here. What the hell piece is that? Can't be. No way, it can be that one. Yeah, no. Definitely not that one. Okay. This one. Let's try it. Let's try it over here first. Yep, that looks right. Let's continue our algorithm. I can't tell you how excited I was the first time I actually did this. First 2 layers are done. Now this is where we can see if we got a case of that false equivocation bullshit. Judging by the looks of this, though, it looks like this one's flipped 180 degrees, and one of these might be. And I'm thinking it's probably this one. Probably. Let's just try it. If I can get it to move. Okay, this one's in the right spot, so now let's just do a 3 cycle of the pieces. Do it again. Aha, it was right. Now we got our cross for the bottom layer. This is where we need to start really thinking about what we're doing. I know this one's in the right place just because of the logo, but we could pretend we didn't. But I'm not going to do that. It'd be a waste of time. So we're going to do a 3 cycle on the corners. They all look like they're in their respective spots. Just for you visual people out there, you can see how we're starting to look like a cube, and we just have 3 pieces that just need to rotate. Yeah, that's our layer scheme. Let's do that. You know the algorithm, I've said it way too many times. I am so happy to be done with this video. I don't even know why I did it to begin with. And now getting everything lined back up is the hard part. Okay, right there. Here. Where? Are we good? Is everything nice and flat? Okay, we solved it. We finished the ghost cube. Are you guys proud of yourselves? I'm not. This puzzle here, the shape mod itself, is just completely exhausting. I don't even know how I made it through that. So I'm gonna say a few things at the end of this video here. There's a lot of ways I could wrap up the end of this video. I could show you a few more algorithms that I didn't show you before. I could explain where and where not you would use F2L. I digress. The point is, you understand how to move these puzzles in order to solve them. You suffered with me, especially on this last one. Nobody likes that thing anymore. Get it out of here. But on that note, I think we have a good way to end this video. Get ourselves a little bit of malt. Ugh. Oh my god, it's all foam. Oh god, what have I done?